So my mother's mind was forged in the unimaginable barbarity, child abuse, and cruelty of the Second World War. And
Right.
so that war taught her to understand society and to understand evil in a way that I struggled with for decades. My mother just got it. She knew that she could do anything and nobody would help. She knew.
Yeah.
She knew. And she knew it didn't matter where I went. It didn't matter who I talked to. She didn't lock me in the basement to hide the abuse. I was free to roam. I went all over the city. I went all over the neighborhood. I had dozens of friends, played everywhere, went to
Right.
church, went to Boy Scouts, went to school, went to relatives, flew all over the world. Didn't matter. Didn't matter. The zone of silence, the zone of absolute inattention, no matter how messed up I was. I had a friend of mine when I was in junior high school. I used to go to his house every day after school. We hung out a lot, and it was fun. We played cards and maybe some video games from time to time and all of that. And I remember I used to go to his chalkboard and I used to draw zombie heads. Chalkboard, and I drew eyeballs hanging out and all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
His father was a doctor. Never asked me anything. Hey, I've noticed that you're drawing all these zombie heads.
Like more morbid stuff.
Really morbid, stuff, right? And there was a guy in my junior high school carried a doll's leg around with blood on it. Like he could put red nail polish on it or whatever it was, right?
Right.
Carried a doll's leg in his pocket with blood on it.
That's obviously a cry for help.
Yeah. I said, man, how you doing? It's just, just so everybody knows, like this is, and I was like, and I remember saying to myself as a kid, damn, if I ever get any kind of prominence, fuck, this cannot continue.
Yeah.
This cannot continue. Fuck the world. Because people doom scroll and they say, oh my gosh, the death of the West, the death of the West. Is like, what the fuck has it done to earn its survival? If this is the West, well, I get that what's replacing it is going to be worse and blah, 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 but holy crap.
There's still fighters.
Yeah.
You're one of them?
This woman says my mom would literally call the cops and hand me the phone and laugh in my face, daring me to tell them. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's wild, right? Can you imagine? You kidnap a kid and you just let him roam. Go anywhere. And my mother never said to me, don't tell. Never once did she say to me, you better not tell. That's how confident she was.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
My mom gave us the church, like, keep up appearances in church. That was
yeah, like don't act up in church or whatever it is. But did your mother ever say, don't tell anyone about what I'm doing?
No, I don't think so.
She didn't need to.
No.
Because she knew no one was going to give a shit.
No. My mother was abused horribly as well. So,
so then she should know exactly how bad it is, right? I was
Yeah.
abused, and so that's why. And this is so the people who. It's funny because I have an easier time talking about the evils of what's done to children with victims of child abuse than other people, because the victims of child abuse are like, oh yeah, no, that was terrible, blah blah blah. But the people who weren't, do you know why they have such a hellish time hearing about this?
It shatters their worldview of how things work and security.
No, it shatters their worldview of themselves. See, it's like the COVID shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you go up to Bob. Bob had a nice childhood. Bob had a good family and all of that. And you go up to Bob and you start talking about this stuff. Do you know what Bob starts to think of?
I'm listening.
Damn. All those kids I knew. All those kids I blamed. All those kids I thought were weird. All those kids I made fun of for being smelly. They were fucking victims. I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
I'm an asshole. So the non-victims find it even more traumatic because they have colluded.
Because they feel guilty.
Because they feel guilty. Because
blood on the
honest thing is My mother didn't abuse me except with your permission. Your permission was necessary and required for
Right.
my mother to abuse me. That you are the cause, in many ways, of the abuse. In that, if you had asked questions, she wouldn't have abused me. The causality for abuse is social, not individual.
Right.
Super nice.
There's evil too, because I know my mother, went through some stuff.
Yeah, it's more evil if she doesn't do it in public, right?
Right.
If she gets away with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, my mother was super nice to me in public. Super nice.
Hmm.
So she knew.
Yeah.
But she knew, and I don't mean to repeat it, but it's just really, really important for people to understand because I'm not alone in this. But she knew that she was perfectly safe to do what she did. And I've only told people half of what she did.
Right.
She was perfectly safe to do what she did, knowing no matter where I went in this world, and I wasn't stuck in some tiny village in the middle of nowhere, I went all over the world. No matter where I went in the world, no matter who I talked to, no matter how many thousands of people I interacted with, what she did, she was perfectly safe and perfectly secure. She was at zero risk whatsoever.
Even with the pawning you off onto different people.
Absolutely. I could go and spend the summer with my aunts in Ireland. I could go and spend time with my father. I could go and spend the summer with a marine biologist in Newfoundland. I could go and join church groups. I could go and be in the choir. I could be in Boy Scouts. I could go and be on sports teams. I could go be a tennis player. I could go to people's houses. I could go anywhere and do anything, and nobody would ask a fucking thing. And she was perfectly safe. She was as safe from the predators of consequences as a man in a penthouse suite at the Ritz.
Right.
Perfectly safe. She had no anxieties, no fears whatsoever that anybody was ever going to ask me. So she understood that they're all abusers. Because if the abuse is only possible because you never ask or notice that, and I wasn't some big faker, right? I wasn't like in a yacht. I wasn't, in the latest clothes. I was hungry.
Yeah.
I had terrible clothing. I had no haircut.
Mhm.
I shouldn't mean to laugh, but my mother once cut my bangs as a kid with pinking shears. I looked like a fucking Italian awning over a deli. Right? So without a doubt, I had to have 3 jobs starting at the age of 12 and 13
Yeah.
for food.
Oh.
The first time I worked in a restaurant, it was paradise. I got meals.
Yeah.
And when I went to school in England,
It's funny you
we
bring
had
that
to,
up.
sorry, just like, when I went to school in England, we had to have dinner money, lunch money. We called dinner in England. I remember my brother had misspelled it. Don't forget diner money, he said right above. And at least half the time there was no money there was no breakfast. There was very little breakfast and there was no money for lunch. And there was no lunch. I had no packed lunch or anything, right? So what I'd have to do is I'd have to go to school at least half the time, and you get this thick rubber band, and they're supposed to charge your parents later. And you get this thick rubber band that says you have no money, and you have to get a free lunch, right?
Hmm.
And the fact that half the time I was coming to school with no food and no capacity to buy food. And they knew this because I had to go in, I had to say, I've got no money for food. They give me this big, thick rubber band to put on my arm that says, don't charge him for lunch.
Right.
And so they
Like a
literally knew half the
Nazi
time I had no
armband?
food. They literally put the fucking rubber band on my arm and didn't ever ask, hey, quick question. Why don't you have any food or any money? Like, it was not hidden. It was completely and totally obvious.
Hmm.
And so the state won't protect you, and society in general is a piece of absolute fucking moral filth that abusers rely on to do their shitty work. And
Right.
the abusers are absolutely confident, and they're totally right to be confident. The abusers are absolutely confident. As long as they're not beating the shit out of you right in front of people, they're fine. They're totally fine. No blowback, no consequences. They don't need to keep you home. You can go anywhere. You can do anything. Nobody's going to ever ask. Nobody's going to ever show any curiosity. Nobody's going to lift a fucking finger to help you. Oh, don't apologize, Greg. It's fine. But yeah, I do. It's a sort of volcanic core that it's not like I'm sitting there with this ball of volcanic anger or something like that. But yeah, when the topic is there, I'm very clear in my mind about the nature of the world and the hypocrisy of people. And I would invite everyone who's listening to this over the years, decades, the centuries, the millennia, I would invite people. Hopefully over the millennia, we've solved these problems, but I would just invite people to look in your life and say, were their children, looking back, I think that they were abused. I think that they might have been abused. And why didn't I ask? Because we got to ask that question. Why didn't I ask? Why didn't I say something? Why didn't I inquire? Why didn't I do something? And it's a tough question to ask yourself. And maybe you have done things. I have at times done things. There are at times I have not done things. So obviously I'm not perfect that way either. I try to do what I can, but I'm not perfect. So, but we do have to ask that question. And we have to ask that question in society. And, it's an interesting question to ask people. I've asked these people, and I've asked people that I've known. It's like, okay, did you ever have a kid in the environment that you thought might have been being abused? Oh, well, the parents were, okay, well, what about when they got older? What about when they were 18 or 19 or 20? Did you ever call them up and say, I really noticed this, but I really didn't say anything. I was nervous, so blah, blah, blah. Like, did you ever ask or say, gee, honestly, people knew my mother had been institutionalized and no one said or did anything. And I'm now almost 60 years old. And people have said, again, outside of friends and family and a few close supporters of the show, people have said nothing. I've been public about having been abused for 20 years. How many people from my childhood have called me up and said, ooh, we kind of suspected something. Zero. People just avoid, people just avoid, people just avoid. And if we keep avoiding, nothing gets better. And you can't make it better. But we need to be honest about our deficiencies if we're ever going to close the gap. All right. Freedomain.com/donate to help out the show. Thank you, everybody, so much for a very deep and gripping evening. I'm sorry we didn't get to the last call.